Hello guys, welcome to Aniswift TV.
Our story starts off with a man running for his life. He searches through his phone to ask for help when he suddenly notices Kaname and messages him as he arrives at a dead end while his hunter comes closer. The man grows some balls and fights back, but the invisible furry only steps forth and gives him a new breathing hole. The next day, Kaname's friend Kyuta comes to him and asks about a friend that they haven't heard from. He realizes that he sent him a message last night and clicks on it. A snake comes out of the phone to give him a kiss that causes him to pass out. He awakens in the nurse's office, but she says he's fine, so Kaname decides he wants to head home. He drops the pen and goes for it, but he mysteriously copies a new pen instead of grabbing the old one. Kaname sits on a train when he suddenly gets a notification of a battle about to start. He sees a furry sitting across from him with a hole maker that begins walking closer to him and tries to make him past tense, but Kaname uses his bag to block and kicks him away. He runs from the furry while calling for help, then enters a police station and reports the kink freak, but when he tries to intervene the officer gets throat surgery. He goes for Kaname next, but Kyuta comes in clutch and saves his life. The panda goes predator, then Kyuta activates his Sharingan and bows him again. The furry is relentless and introduces his poker to his food processor. They escape while they can, as Kyuta tells Kaname that he's in a game now and the only way to win is to defeat the panda or wait until time runs out. Kyuta tells Kaname to leave him behind because the bleeding has stopped and the panda can only track his opponent through the app, so Kaname goes out to confront the furry and leads him away from his friend. Kaname hides in the bathroom and ambushes him with a fire extinguisher, then begin throwing hands, but the furry give Kaname's face a fisting. He takes up the knife and tries to end the series, but the plot armor is too strong, so Karkoin comes in to give a helping hand, so Kaname wins the match as the time runs out while the furry begins to be deleted until only an outline of his body remain. He goes back to check on Kyuta and finds that he has gone to live with God. Kaname falls to his knees in disbelief as he checks his phone and sees that the last message from his friend was for him to survive. He sits in his room while trying to figure out the game as he uses the gacha system, which gives him a pure that immediately comes packaged at his door. He gets a message from another player to find out more about the game, and goes inside a warehouse to meet Shuka. She tells him he will only get one question, so he asks how to leave Darwin's game. Then she explains that the only way out is by becoming a hashtag. But Kaname refuses to believe that there is no way for him to be safe. Shuka says that she won't answer any more questions until he shows her his power, but he doesn't know how to use any of his abilities. She tells him that she can't trust anyone who won't show his ability, but Kaname hits her with his purple flashlight and begin doing the race. Kaname runs towards the closing exit gate, but activates Ultra Instincts last second and dodges a game over. Shuka turns on all the lights and begins to attack, then break all his weapons. She backs him into a corner and asks to see his power as she decides to end the fight. Kaname runs away from her while accepting that this is his life now and remembers Kyuta's message to survive. He spawns a pure in his hand and decides to pew at her as he retreats to safety. Shuka chases him relentlessly and starts destroying the environment to find him, while Kaname begins to meditate and figure out how to use his powers correctly. He begins to pew at Shuka to lead her into a trap. He turns off all the lights, then runs at Shuka while she's adjusting to the darkness, and dodges her chains to tackle her to the floor. He stands over her and tells her to cancel the match. Seeing this, Shuka realizes that Kaname is a good person and is very strong. She decides to surrender to him as he passes out. In the morning, Kaname wakes up and finds Shuka in her birthday clothes lying on him. She asks him to start a family with her to his confusion, so she explains that she wants to create a clan with him, but he must first get to a higher rank. He walks to a store and cashes in some points for money, then realizes he's caught the bag. The game sends a notification advertising a new event, so the next day, he meets Shuka to explore the area before the competition starts. She takes him to the mall where she goes on a shopping spree, but while he's waiting for her, Kaname is confronted by another player, Inukai, who leads him to an alley and starts a battle. He rushes to deliver a can of whoop ass, but Kaname summons a shocker and tackles Inukai to take his phone away to threaten him with it. Shuka comes in as support, so Inukai surrenders and reveals that he's a part of the boxing guild. As it's shown that the game event is about to begin, they all start to get teleported to random locations around the park. They are told to gather 3 rings or meet Jesus, but there aren't enough rings for everyone, so they will have to steal from each other to survive. A girl gets teleported next to the leader of the 8th clan, Wong, and attempts to burn him alive, but he uses her to test fall damage instead. A sound frequency starts that puts everyone under a genjutsu to return home so civilians won't get hurt. Kaname gets a notification that he has to find rings of various rarities or meet Jesus. He looks through the phone's camera and finds a ring hidden in his room. Kaname heads outside and sees many body arts. He realizes that some of the rings are moving and hides to ambush the player. The Punisher comes through the elevator and makes his choppa sing. Kaname runs away and finds all the exits blocked off by plants. He chases after Kaname and corners him, but he gives the Punisher his rings, but he wants Katame's life too. His pure jams, so Kaname turns the tables on him but can't bring himself to pew. The Punisher decides to leave Kaname breathing so he can save bullets, then heads into the elevator. Kaname waits for the elevator, but he's stopped by a woman, Rain, who warns him not to go inside, where he sees that the plants have made the Punisher into fertilizer. She explains the plants have been eating everyone inside the building, so they're trapped inside, while Shuka has been on the outside stomping on noobs by 1v9ing. Kaname and Rain decide to work together as he decides to scan the Punisher's choppa. They walk down the hall and realizes that the fallen players haven't left an outline like they usually do as they begin moving again. The zombie players chase after them as Rain throws a flashbang that allows them to escape. Kaname realizes that their enemy is using the cameras to send the zombies after them, so they run away while pewing all the snitch boxes until they find safety in Rain's room. They make a plan to use the gacha system to make bombs to draw the zombies' attention to Rain while she leads them as far away as possible, and use her ability to dodge their pews and change their living status. Meanwhile, Kaname confronts the florist on the first floor by climbing down the window. He comes out of the camera room and begins equipping his armor, so Kaname throws a banger, but it has no effect. The florist begins whipping him like a master, so Kaname takes out the choppa and empties the clip, but Teen Trees are too strong. He breaks the choppa, so Kaname summons another, but his stamina begins to run low, so he uses a flasher and escapes. But Groot chases him down and gives him a tummy tuck that launches him into a wall. Kaname begins to lose consciousness but finds himself in a room where all his weapons gets created. He realizes that he can make adjustments to weapons he copied, and decides that he'll reduce the choppa's durability by increasing its damage. He makes bullets and makes the choppa scream. The bullets begin to damage the florist, but he tries to push through and gets blown back. He asks to be sent to God in one shot because he's really sick and already has an invitation to heaven. Kaname blacks out as Rain comes in and explains that because Wong is in the challenge, he is planning to gather all the rings in the game, and when he gets to their building they will have to survive together or become past tense apart. Meanwhile, Shuka goes around stomping the dirty campers, but she gets bored of them, so she decides to go down into a subway. She walks through the tunnel when water suddenly begins attacking her. She sees the player and tries to poke him, but her weapons get trapped in ice, so she decides to run away, but gets trapped between ice walls. Kaname awakens and goes to meet with Punisher. They ask him to join their alliance, but he refuses until he hears that Wong is participating in the event, then he accepts. Meanwhile, Wong decides that it's time to move against the hotel in the night after the rest of his guild arrives. The Punisher reveals his name is Ryuji, as Kaname suddenly gets a text from Shuka asking for help as she slowly breathes water. That will be all for today. Like the video if you liked the video, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching and remember to stay swiftly.